Close your eyes and let the world grow quiet. Tonight, we travel far beyond the noise of our daily lives, into the soft glow of history's forgotten temples. Beneath the stars of ancient deserts and the shadows of sacred groves, women once stood as divine guides, keepers of mystery, healers of souls, and voices of the unseen. Their stories are woven in stone, carved into sacred symbols and whispered across oceans of time. As you listen, you will drift gently into their presence, not as a student but as a dreamer. This journey is not hurried. It unfolds like a candle flickering in the dark, one soft flame at a time. If these stories ease your mind, let me know in the comments where you are listening from. And if this journey helps you rest, consider subscribing, so the next time you seek peace, the path will already be waiting. The night is quiet now. A soft veil rests upon the earth. The stars shimmer faintly above, like tiny lamps scattered across the endless dark. And there, rising slowly, calm and radiant, comes the moon. Her silver glow spreads across the land, touching rivers, mountains, and sleeping fields with a gentle hand. The moon has always been more than light. To ancient hearts, she was a mother, a guide, a watcher in the dark. She came and went with steady rhythm, waxing and waning like breath itself. Her cycles whispered of time, of birth, of change, of renewal. Long before books, before temples of stone, her face was the first calendar. Her light was the first sacred clock. In villages of old, where fire was the only warmth in the night, women would sit together beneath her glow. They sang soft songs and traced her shape with their eyes. They felt her power in their own rhythms, the hidden tides within the body. She became their sister, their guardian, their mirror in the sky. The moon was called by many names. In Mesopotamia, she was Nana's daughter. In Greece, she was Selene, then Artemis, then Hecate of the crossroads. In Egypt, her reflection shimmered in the goddess Isis, who lifted the dead to life again. In lands farther east, she shone as Chandra, as the silver wheel that turned the heavens. But always, in every tongue, she was feminine. She was a mother, a maiden, a grandmother. Her cycle carried the secret of the womb, the rhythm of harvest, the stillness of death, the promise of return. Her worship was quiet, not like the thunder of war gods or the blaze of sun deities. The moon's ritual was a softer song. Women gathered in circles. They lit lamps filled with oil. They drew symbols on clay or skin, circles, crescents, spirals. The spiral was a favorite, for it spoke of endless return, life spinning inward, life spinning outward, yet never breaking. The moon was also the healer. Her silver light was thought to cool fevers, to calm madness, to soothe restless children. Herbs gathered beneath her glow were believed to carry her blessing. Midwives timed their work by her phases, believing that birth and blood followed her pull. Farmers watched her carefully too, planting seeds as her light grew, harvesting when it faded. Even the sea obeyed her voice, tides rising and falling as if to her lullaby. The moon mothers were not only goddesses, but women of flesh who served as their earthly mirrors. Priestesses of the moon wore white robes. They anointed themselves with oils that glistened like moonlight. They carried bowls of silver water, reflecting the night sky within their vessels. Some danced in circles, slow and unbroken, moving like the waxing and waning light. Others whispered prayers to guide the sick, or to bless the womb of a woman hoping for a child. In old temples, round in shape to honor her circle, women placed offerings of milk and honey. They believed the moon's essence was sweet, nourishing, gentle. The offerings were small, yet deeply felt. A bowl of grain, a strand of hair, a shell from the shore. Such gifts were not to bribe, but to share. They were tokens of trust, of closeness, of belonging to her cycle. Legends tell that the moon mothers carried the secrets of dream. When the night was heavy and sleep came, it was she who opened the gate of vision. Dreams were her language, her gentle letters written upon the soul. Prophets listened. They said the moon's glow could reveal hidden truths, that within her light lay the knowledge of what had been and what was to come. Some stories paint her as three: maiden, mother, and crone. The maiden shone with the crescent moon, fresh and young, a promise of what is to be. The mother glowed full and round, abundant with life and love. And the crone, dark and veiled, came with the new moon, not as death, but as deep rest, as the womb of silence before rebirth. Together, these three formed a circle of life, never ending, always turning. Listen closely now, and you may almost hear her in the distance. the soft rustle of leaves stirred by her night winds, the faint lapping of water as she pulls the tide, the hushed prayers of ancient women calling her name. Her presence is never loud, never forceful. She is gentle, steady, eternal. The Moon Mothers also carried the mystery of shadow. When the moon disappeared, people felt her absence like a wound. In eclipses, when the earth swallowed her light, silence fell across the land. Fires were dimmed, drums were beaten to call her back. For the people knew, even in her vanishing, she was only passing into mystery. Always she returned, always her cycle began again. Symbols of the moon found their way into jewelry, carved on stones, drawn on the walls of caves. The crescent, the circle, the spiral. Women wore pendants shaped like the curve of her light. Priests traced circles of chalk to mark sacred space. Warriors carried her sign for protection, believing her silver would guide their blades in the dark. And still, beneath it all, she remained a mother, tender, watchful, unbroken. There are stories of lovers who met beneath her glow. They believed the moon was their witness blessing their union. Others tell of widows who prayed to her light, feeling her as companion in their grief. For the moon was more than goddess. She was comfort, she was presence. She did not judge. She simply shone, offering her quiet strength to all who lifted their eyes. Imagine now a gathering, thousands of years ago. A circle of women sit near a fire, but their faces are turned upward to her silver gaze. Their voices rise together not in shouting, but in long flowing song. The sound drifts through the night, blending with the chirping of insects, the crackle of wood. Their arms sway, their eyes soften, their hearts steady. They are not afraid of the dark, for the moon is with them. The men, too, honored her. Hunters traveled by her light, thanking her for safe passage through forests. Sailors trusted her glow to mark their path across oceans. Kings consulted her priestesses before battles, believing her cycles foretold victory or loss. Even the hardest of warriors softened their hearts when they saw her full round face above the battlefield. She was beyond war, beyond division. She was the mother to all. In many lands, women aligned their temples with her rising. Stones were lifted into great circles, like those at Stonehenge, to greet her return at special times. The architecture itself became a calendar, a memory in stone of her eternal rhythm. These temples were not only monuments but places of peace, where the people gathered to rest in her presence. Through all of history, her light has never failed. Empires rose and fell, yet still she appeared each night, patient and constant. Her cycle has outlasted kings, queens, and even gods once feared. She remains unchanged, still lifting herself into the sky to comfort the weary. Now, as you rest in this story, imagine her glow upon your skin. It is cool like silk drifting through the air. It eases the weight of the day. It gathers your thoughts into calm streams, flowing gently, slowly towards sleep. The same glow that touched the deserts of Egypt, the mountains of Greece, the rivers of India, now touches you as well. You are part of her endless circle. The moon mothers of old still live in memory. Their songs may have faded, their temples may have crumbled, but their spirit has not left. It lingers in the rhythm of your breath, in the beating of your heart, in the cycle of your own days and nights. Every ending carries a beginning. Every shadow holds the promise of return. This was their wisdom, their gift. And so, let her guide you now. Let the silver light close your eyes, like soft hands drawing a curtain of peace. Let the rhythms of the moon carry you gently through the night. You are safe. You are cradled. You are part of the great cycle that has no end. Now rest. The moon mothers are watching. Their glow is steady, their song eternal. Drift softly as the stars return. Drift onward as the night carries you deeper into peace. The night deepens. A hush falls over the ancient world. The stars are steady, their silver dust scattered across the sky like grains upon a dark cloth. The moon lingers, patient and watchful, casting her glow upon quiet temples. Between stone walls and soft earth, shadows gather, and in the stillness a figure appears. She is the priestess. Her steps are slow, her robes whispering like leaves in a gentle breeze. A veil covers her face, thin as mist, hiding yet revealing. Her presence carries calm weight, not of power, but of mystery. She is the voice between worlds, a vessel for whispers that belong neither fully to heaven nor to earth. In sacred rites, serpents were often kept alive within temples. Priestesses touched them, carried them, danced with them. To hold the serpent was to hold mystery itself. Women, as givers of life, understood the rhythm of renewal that the serpent carried. Together, woman and serpent became symbols of creation, of fertility, of the endless weaving of life. In some myths, the serpent was guardian of treasure. The treasure was not always gold, but wisdom, sacred knowledge, hidden truths. To reach it, one had to face fear, to enter shadow, to endure silence. The serpent did not give its secrets easily. Only those who came with reverence could pass. There are stories of great serpents coiling around the roots of the world tree, their bodies stretched across heaven and earth. They tied together the realms, sky above, soil below, waters deep. In this way, the serpent was not small but cosmic, the very thread that bound existence. In the hands of healers, the serpent became a symbol of medicine. Even today, its form winds around staffs of healing. The ancients saw its venom not only as danger but as cure. Poison and medicine were two faces of the same mystery, just as death and life were two sides of one circle. The serpent reminded the people that power itself is neither dark nor light, it is how one holds it. Imagine now a temple where the serpent is honored. The stone floor is cool beneath bare feet. Lamps burn low, casting long shadows. A priestess stands at the center, her hands lifted. From her arms, two serpents glide, curling, calm and alive. The people watch, not in fear, but in awe, for to see her with them is to glimpse balance, the human hand cradling the eternal, the mortal carrying the sacred. The serpent is also a dream guide. In the quiet of sleep, it slips through visions, leading souls into hidden chambers of the mind. Dreams of serpents were seen as signs of change, of healing, of deep truths waiting to be uncovered. Those who dreamed of the serpent were told to listen carefully, for wisdom was near. In some lands, the serpent was tied to the waters. Coiled beneath rivers, resting in lakes, dwelling in wells, it held the life force of springs. To approach water was to approach the serpent, guardian of what nourished the body and soul. Offerings were cast into waters to honor it. Flowers, coins, whispered prayers. The serpent's silence carried its own teaching. Unlike creatures that shouted or sang, the serpent spoke through presence. Its lesson was clear. Power does not need noise. Wisdom does not need boasting. True strength is steady, patient, unseen, and yet the serpent was also linked to shadow. For what is hidden can bring both comfort and fear. Some myths spoke of its danger, its bite, its darkness. But even then, the people understood that shadow was part of life. To fear the serpent was to fear change. To honor it was to embrace the whole of existence, light and dark woven together. See now the serpent in your mind. Its body shines like polished stone, scales glimmering in the moonlight. It moves slowly, peacefully, curling into a spiral. That spiral is the shape of galaxies above, the shape of shells in the sea, the shape of seeds waiting in the earth. It is the shape of life itself, always turning, always returning. The ancients placed serpents on crowns, staffs, bowls, and doorways, not as warning, but as protection. A serpent carved above the threshold kept harm away. A serpent painted upon pottery reminded the family of cycles and renewal. A serpent etched into stone kept wisdom alive for generations. In the myths of women, the serpent often became companion, not enemy. Goddesses held it, walked with it, crowned themselves with it. The bond was natural, for both carried life, both carried renewal, both carried mystery. Together they formed a symbol of sacred power, quiet, deep, eternal. Now let the serpent's rhythm guide you. Feel its slow breath, its endless patience. It does not rush. It does not force. It moves as time moves, as seasons move, as the soul itself moves. Let it coil around you, not as threat, but as embrace. Its body is a circle of safety, its movement a song of eternity. In its presence, you are reminded that you too can shed what is old. You too can begin again. You too are part of the great spiral. The serpent is not gone. Even now, it lives in stories, in symbols, in the winding of rivers and the turning of stars. It slips through dreams, reminding the soul of what it already knows. That life is endless. That change is sacred. That rebirth is always near. As the night deepens, the serpent curls into stillness. Its body rests like a circle drawn upon the earth. The stars above shine in quiet rhythm. The world is calm. The serpent sleeps, and so may you. Let us drift onward now, as the serpent drifts. Let us rest in its circle, safe and renewed. Let the spiral of its mystery carry you deeper into peace. Now rest, as the stars return. Now rest, as the serpent's song fades into silence. The night is quiet, yet in the heart of darkness there glows a gentle flame. It flickers softly, golden against the shadows, warming the cool air. Around it, silence gathers. Around it, stories awaken. For as long as memory stretches, fire has been more than heat. It has been spirit. It has been guardian. It has been a living presence that connects sky to earth, life to death, soul to eternity. Fire is both humble and holy. It cooks the bread, warms the hearth, lights the path. Yet it also burns as star and sun, a piece of heaven fallen into human hands. And often it was women who kept this light alive. They were called the daughters of fire, the keepers of sacred flame. Imagine an ancient hearth at the center of a small home. The walls are made of clay, the roof of thatch. Outside, the night winds move through trees. Inside, the only sound is the low crackle of embers. A woman tends the fire with gentle hands. She stirs the ash, adds wood, breathes softly into the glow. Around her, children sleep and an elder rests. Their lives depend on this warmth. She watches the flame not only with care, but with devotion. For she knows the fire is more than tool, it is spirit. Across the ancient world, this role deepened into sacred duty. In Greece, the goddess Hestia was honored at every hearth. Her flame was the heart of city and home. No offering began without her blessing. No meal was shared without her presence. The women of the household became her priestesses in daily life, keeping the flame steady, never letting it fade. In great temples, her fire burned without end, watched over by chosen hands, a light for the whole community. In Rome, the story continued with the Vestal Virgins. These women, set apart from childhood, gave their lives to the fire of Vesta. Their task was simple but eternal. Keep the flame burning. Day and night, through seasons and storms, they guarded the living light. If the fire ever went out, it was seen as a wound in the soul of the city. So the daughters of fire tended it with patience, with silence, with reverence. The flame was not theirs. It belonged to the people, to the gods, to the endless thread of time. Beyond the Mediterranean, fire burned in other sacred hands. In Vedic lands, the goddess Agni's flame danced upon altars. Ritual fires were kindled by women who carried torches from one generation to the next. In Persia, fire temples glowed with holy light, cared for by priests and priestesses alike. The flame was never left alone. It was watched as one watches a child, as one listens to a heartbeat. The daughters of fire were not only guardians of ritual, they were guardians of life itself. For in every place, in every age, the hearth was the center of the home. Around it, food was cooked. Around it, stories were told. Around it, prayers were spoken. The flame was warmth against winter, light against night, spirit against despair. To protect it was to protect the very soul of the household. Now picture a circle of women in a mountain village. The snow is deep outside, the night cold and endless. Yet within their small houses, fire glows. Each woman tends her hearth, and together their flames form a secret constellation across the valley. Like stars fallen upon earth, the fires shine quietly, a hidden sky of warmth. The daughters of fire do not know one another's faces, yet they are united. Their flames breathe as one. The fire also carried the mystery of transformation. Wood turned to ash. Cold food became warm. Darkness turned to light. It was the element of change, the living bridge between what was and what could be. The women who tended it were not just preserving, they were creating. With every ember stirred, they wove renewal. With every spark, they held possibility in their hands. In myths, fire often comes as a gift from gods. Prometheus brings it to humankind, a dangerous treasure. Maui pulls it from the nails of his ancestor. In each tale, fire is more than flame. It is spirit passed down. But once it is given, it is women who carry it forward. They guard it not in myth alone, but in daily life, every evening and dawn. The veil itself is sacred. It is not meant as silence or as distance, but as threshold. Behind it, the priestess becomes something more than human. Covered, she is unveiled to the unseen. Hidden, she is open to the divine. The veil is a doorway, a soft curtain, between the everyday and the eternal. Imagine the ancient temple. Torches burn low, their flames bending like reeds. The air is filled with the faint smell of oil and cedar. Statues rise, carved with care, faces gazing into eternity. Around the altar, circles of women wait in quiet devotion. They wait for her, the one who will speak what cannot be spoken, who will draw down the breath of gods and give it shape in words. In many lands, she was known by different names. In Greece, the oracle at Delphi sat upon her high seat, veiled, inhaling the holy vapors that rose from the earth. In Egypt, priestesses of Hathor shook their sacred instruments, calling the goddess to enter. In Mesopotamia, women stood in temples of Inanna, voices rising in song, carrying prayers to the stars. Wherever she walked, the priestess carried the same secret. She was bridge, she was vessel, she was voice. The people believed her whispers were not her own. They belonged to the unseen, to powers vast and hidden. When kings sought wisdom before war, when farmers begged for rain, when families prayed for healing, it was she who listened first. The veil shielded her from the weight of human eyes. It allowed her to move beyond herself, to become mouth for the mysteries. Her role was not loud. It was not made for crowds or armies. It was quiet, soft as the wind in the grass. She worked in shadows, in half-light, in dreams, yet her influence flowed through whole nations. A word from the priestess could lift the heart of a people or turn the course of a kingdom. The veil also carried its own meaning. To many, it was the symbol of the hidden. Life itself was veiled. The future was veiled. Even the gods were veiled. The priestess, covered in her cloth, mirrored the truth of existence. She reminded the people that not all things can be seen at once. That mystery is not absence, but presence too deep for the eye. Sometimes she would sing. Her songs rose slowly, in tones long and low like the hum of the earth itself. The words were old, older than writing. They were syllables of power, sounds that shaped the air and carried intention into the unseen. The circle of listeners would close their eyes, letting the sound wash over them. It was said that her voice could open gates, that the veil itself would tremble with the breath of divinity. Other times, she was silent. Her stillness was her gift. In silence, she listened. In silence, she became a vessel for dreams. People would bring questions heavy on their hearts, and she would simply sit, veiled and unmoving. Hours might pass. Then, at last, she would lift her hand or murmur a word or pour water upon the ground. These small gestures were not small at all. They carried weight, carried meaning, carried the answer that had been waiting in the silence. The veil of the priestess also held the softness of protection. The sacred was not for everyone to touch. The flame of the altar could not be handled by careless hands. The veil kept the mystery safe, not hidden away forever, but guarded like a delicate seed. When the time was right, the seed would sprout. When the heart was ready, the answer would come. Until then, the veil hung gently like clouds covering the sun. In some myths, the veil was not cloth at all, but light. Priestesses were said to glow with a radiance not of this world, their faces hidden in shining mist. In others, the veil was shadow, their features concealed in darkness as they spoke the words of the unseen. Always, it was a sign that what passed through them was more than human, more than flesh. Imagine now the moment of ritual. The temple is hushed. A vessel of water sits upon the altar, reflecting the torchlight. The priestess enters. She lifts her arms, her veil glimmering faintly. The crowd bows their heads. Slowly she begins to sway like a reed in the wind. Her voice rises. A chant, soft, rhythmic, endless. The sound weaves through the air like smoke. People breathe with her, their hearts slowing, their minds loosening. She is no longer only herself. She is voice, she is bridge, she is veil. Through her, people remembered that the world was larger than what they saw, that behind every event lay a mystery. That life was touched always by powers unseen. The veil of the priestess was a reminder that humans are never alone, that the divine is always near, whispering through breath, through dream, through the soft voice of the veiled one. There are tales of those who sought her counsel, a traveler lost on his path, a mother mourning her child, a king trembling before battle. Each came with heavy heart. Each left lighter, not always with clear answers, but with peace. For the veil did not always reveal. Sometimes it comforted, sometimes it reminded, sometimes it said simply, "Be still, wait. The mystery is working. The veil is also within you." Just as she carried it upon her face, each soul carries a veil upon the heart. Behind it rests the hidden self, the part of you that is deeper than thought, older than fear. The priestess, with her quiet presence, invites you to lift your own veil gently, to listen to what waits behind the silence. Now the temple grows quieter still. The torches fade. The priestess withdraws into shadow, her veil trailing like mist upon stone. The people leave slowly, their steps soft, their hearts touched by something they cannot name. The night embraces them. Above, the moon watches, as she always has. The veil of the priestess remains even in memory. It is not torn by time. It floats still across the ages, a symbol of the hidden, of the sacred, of the bridge between worlds. It drifts into your dreams now, covering you not with fear but with gentleness. Like a curtain of soft cloth across your mind, it brings calm. It brings safety. Let the veil rest upon you now. Let it draw you inward, into silence, into mystery. Behind it, there is peace. Behind it, there is stillness. Behind it, there is the soft whisper of the unseen. Drift as the priestess drifts. Breathe as her veil breathes. Sleep as her silence covers you. Now rest. The veil of the priestess is gentle. It shields you. It calms you. It guides you. Sleep beneath it, like the ancients once did, as the stars return. The night air is gentle. A soft wind drifts through tall grass, bending it like waves upon a dark sea. The moon glows quietly above, and stars glitter faintly in the still sky. Somewhere in the shadows, the earth stirs. A long, fluid shape glides silently over stone. The serpent has awakened. For the ancients, this creature was never only an animal. It was symbol, it was mystery, it was power. Its movements were like flowing water, coiling and uncoiling in endless rhythm. Its skin, shed and renewed, whispered of rebirth. Its hidden presence in the earth carried secrets of life and death, hidden yet near. The serpent was feared by some, loved by others, but always respected. It appeared in myth after myth across deserts and forests, mountains and seas. It was placed in the hands of goddesses and priestesses. It curled around staffs, slithered through temples, and was painted upon walls and sacred spirals. Wherever it appeared, it spoke of wisdom, of mystery, of the power that lies just beneath the surface of life. In Greece, the goddess Athena carried the serpent as protector. Her shield bore its image. Her temples welcomed it as guardian. In Crete, the snake priestess lifted serpents in her hands, calm and unafraid, showing the people that she had mastered their mystery. In India, serpents rose as nagas, beings both divine and earthly, keepers of water and treasure, guardians of the underworld. In Egypt, the cobra coiled upon the brow of queens and gods, a living crown of fire and protection. The serpent's power was not loud. It did not roar like the lion or thunder like the storm. Its power was subtle, hidden, waiting. It moved with silence, yet carried endless strength. The people saw in it the wisdom of patience, the mystery of cycles, the gift of renewal. Watch its movements in the mind. The serpent glides, slow and steady, then coils into a circle. The circle is sacred, endless, without beginning or end. Many myths spoke of the serpent eating its own tail, the Ouroboros, symbol of eternity. Life devours death. Death returns to life. Nothing is lost. All is renewed. The shedding of its skin was another wonder. The serpent left behind what was old, stepping into what was new, yet it remained the same being. For humans, this was a mirror of the soul. Old ways could fall away. Old pain could be left behind. Life could begin again. The serpent was not bound to one shape. It reminded the people that change is part of life, not its enemy. The daughters of fire also held power in ceremonies of passage. At births, a flame was lit to welcome the soul. At marriages, torches burned to bless the bond. At funerals, fire carried the spirit into the unseen. The same hands that stirred the hearth guided souls across thresholds. Fire was not only of this world, it touched the beyond. The temple flames were especially mysterious. In Rome, the flame of Vesta glowed in silence at the city's center. In Delphi, fire burned near Apollo's oracle, guiding visions. In Ireland, legends speak of Brigid, goddess of flame, whose sacred fire was tended by 19 women, each guarding it in turn. On the 20th night, it was said the goddess herself kept watch. The circle was endless, the flame eternal. See it now, a temple chamber at dusk. The air is heavy with incense. Torches flicker along stone walls. At the center, a large flame rises, steady and bright. Women in white robes sit around it, their faces calm, their eyes lowered. They are not speaking. They do not need to. The flame speaks for them. Its light dances across their skin, turning silence into prayer. Hours pass, yet they do not falter. To them the fire is not burden. It is breath. The daughters of fire lived lives of devotion. Some never married, never bore children, for their child was the flame. Some gave their entire youth to its care, then returned to ordinary life, carrying within them the quiet strength of years spent in sacred watch. Others tended only the hearth of their own home, yet their service was no less holy, for the smallest fire was as sacred as the largest. In many tales, women carried fire across distances. A bride brought a torch from her mother's hearth to her new home, carrying the lineage of warmth into her future. In villages, when a hearth went cold, a woman would walk to her neighbor's fire, borrow a flame, and bring it back in a clay pot. Fire was shared, like bread, like water, like life itself. It belonged not to one, but to all. Fire was also symbol of spirit within. Just as the flame must be tended, so must the soul. If neglected, it fades. If nourished, it glows. Women, as guardians of outer flame, became mirrors of the inner one. Their devotion reminded all to tend their own light with care. Now let your mind drift to the sound of quiet embers. Hear the soft crackle, gentle as rainfall. See the glow, golden against the dark. The flame does not hurry. It moves at its own pace, small tongues rising and falling like slow breaths. Watch how it sways, never still yet never lost. This is how the spirit moves within you. The daughters of fire knew this. They knew that to serve the flame was to serve life itself. They did not seek glory. Their work was unseen, often unnoticed. Yet without them, the world would grow cold. Meals would go uncooked. Temples would go dark. Their gift was quiet, steady, eternal. Fire was also purification. It burned away what was heavy, what was no longer needed. Old offerings were given to its mouth. Fears were whispered into its sparks. With every flicker, it cleansed. The daughters of fire watched without judgment. They knew the flame took all and returned all, leaving only light. In this way, they became more than guardians. They became healers, protectors, guides. Through their hands, fire was not destructive but nurturing. It was safe. It was holy. It was love made visible. As night deepens, imagine the many flames burning across the earth, some in temples, tall and grand, some in cottages, small and humble, some in caves lit for ceremony, some by rivers glowing against the dark water. And in each place a woman bends near, watching, tending, offering her quiet care. Across the world, across time, they form an endless circle, the daughters of fire bound not by blood, but by flame. And now, in the silence of this moment, feel their gift, the warmth of spirit, the calm of steady light, the reminder that even in darkness, there is always a flame, always a presence, always a guide. The fire softens now. Its glow becomes gentle. Its breath becomes slow. Embers settle into ash, yet the warmth remains. So too may you rest. The daughters of fire keep watch. Their circle is unbroken. Their flame is eternal. Let us drift onward now as the flames drift into stillness. Let us rest in their warmth, calm and safe. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as the daughters of fire guard the night. The desert breathes in silence. Its winds carry whispers across endless sands. The stars above shine with cold brilliance, and the dunes below glow silver in their light. In this wide stillness, ancient queens once walked, their crowns touched with sun and star, their thrones shaped not only of stone, but of myth and memory. Let your mind wander into that desert night. The air is cool, the sand soft beneath the sky. Each grain feels eternal, as if it remembers stories thousands of years old. And within this silence, the figures of queens rise regal and calm. They do not speak loudly. They do not rush. They rule with stillness, with symbols, with the quiet presence of divine women who carried the weight of kingdoms, like they carried the rhythm of breath. In Egypt, the crowns of queens bore lions, serpents, and sun discs. These were not decoration. They were messages. A lion meant fierce protection, the strength of Sekhmet flowing through the wearer. A serpent at the brow was the uraeus, the cobra that rose in defense, striking against any who threatened. The sun disk blazed like Ra himself, marking the queen as keeper of light. One queen may stand before you now in vision. She wears a tall headdress, two feathers rising like wings, a golden disk at their center. She holds a staff, yet her posture is not harsh. She is serene, her face like carved stone softened by candlelight. Around her, priests bow their heads, yet she does not demand their reverence. Her presence alone commands it. In this world of sand and Nile, queens were more than rulers' wives. Some were priestesses bridging heaven and earth. Some were mothers of kings whose wisdom guided empires. And some were pharaohs themselves, crowned as living gods. Hatshepsut, whose name drifted across centuries, wore the false beard of kingship and stood as pharaoh in her own right. Her temples rose from cliffs, carved like mountains touched by the hand of eternity. In her reign, Egypt knew peace, trade, and splendor. She is remembered not by conquest, but by the silent power of building, of creating, of sustaining. Her crown bore cobras and stars, her image carved upon stone walls where torches once flickered. In Mesopotamia, too, queens carried sacred weight. The sands of Sumer and Babylon knew women who ruled as regents, who served as high priestesses to the moon god Nana or the great goddess Inanna. They stood in ziggurats that touched the sky, watching over their cities. From terraces of clay brick, they looked upon rivers that fed the land and upon stars that guided the night. Their crowns were heavy not only with gold, but with the gravity of the divine. The lioness was often their companion. Lions roamed the deserts in those days, symbols of ferocity and strength. A queen with a lion on her crown was not only royal, she was untouchable, shielded by the spirit of the huntress and warrior. Inanna, the goddess of love and battle, was shown standing upon lions, calm yet fierce, her gaze unshaken. The daughters who wore her symbols carried echoes of that same authority. Close your eyes and imagine a throne room of stone, lit by oil lamps. The scent of myrrh drifts through the air. Pillars rise high, shadows stretching along their carved surfaces. At the center, upon a seat adorned with lions and wings, a queen sits. She does not shout commands. She speaks slowly, and each word is obeyed as though carried by the wind itself. Her crown gleams, a circle of stars upon her brow, and those who enter feel both fear and peace. She rules not only the land, but the spirit of the land. The desert's silent queens were keepers of duality. Their strength was fierce, yet their presence was calm. Their symbols told stories: stars for guidance, sun discs for eternal life, serpents for protection, lions for courage. Each mark upon their crown was a prayer woven into power. In Egyptian temples, queens were often painted beside gods. They raised their hands to the sky, offering incense, or poured water upon altars. They were depicted as tall as kings, their feet firmly upon the same ground, their crowns shining in equal measure. The divine did not whisper to them, it spoke through them. One of the most beloved Nefertari, wife of Ramses, was honored with a tomb painted like the heavens. Stars covered its ceiling, golden and infinite. On the walls, she is shown with Isis, with Hathor, with the gods themselves, moving among them as if she belonged to both worlds. Her name means beautiful companion, yet she was more than beauty. She was a partner in rule, a woman crowned by both desert and sky. The silence of these queens was not emptiness, it was presence. The desert teaches silence, for the wind carries its voice only when needed. The queens learned from this rhythm. They knew that stillness is a form of strength, and quiet a form of command. When they sat upon their thrones, their crowns glowed with meaning, and their silence filled the chamber like a hymn. Symbols of the sun were their greatest crown. In Egypt, the sun was God, the eternal life-giver, the endless circle. A golden disk upon the head meant more than power. It meant harmony with creation. A queen with the sun upon her crown became living light. She shone as both woman and goddess, both mortal and eternal. Stars, too, were sacred. In the cool desert night, stars glittered like jewels across an endless sky. They were thought to be spirits, ancestors' guides. A crown of stars meant wisdom drawn from eternity, vision that saw beyond the veil of this world. Now picture again the desert under starlight. A queen stands upon the sand, her robe flowing in the breeze. On her head a crown of stars glows softly, though no metal rests there, only the sky itself. She raises her hand, and the silence of the desert bows to her. She is both woman and cosmos, both earth and heaven. Even in death, these queens carried their symbols. Their tombs were filled with gold and carvings, but also with prayers and protective amulets. Lions carved upon sarcophagi, serpents painted on walls, stars traced upon ceilings, sun discs over their heads. They wished to carry their crowns into the afterlife, to be recognized by gods as they had been by mortals. The queens of sand were not always remembered in names. Many are lost to time. Yet their crowns live on in fragments, their symbols in stone and pottery, their stories in whispers of history. Their silence remains, and in that silence they are never truly gone. So rest now in their presence. Feel the desert air upon your skin, cool and gentle. See the stars above, endless and calm. Imagine the golden crowns, heavy yet radiant, bearing lions, stars, and suns. They are more than ornaments. They are the breath of divinity upon the brow of women who ruled with grace. The desert night deepens. The winds grow softer. The sand glimmers like silver beneath the moon, and the queens fade into dream, their crowns glowing faintly, their silence carrying you into rest. Let us drift onward now, carried by the breath of the desert. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as the silent queens keep watch in the night. Beneath a sky as dark as velvet, the stars open like tiny lamps of silver. The air is still, and the world seems hushed, as if waiting for a story older than time. You drift into this quiet, a gentle breath carrying you into the dream world. Here, in the vastness between earth and heaven, the sound of looms begins to hum. It is not loud, not sharp, but soft, like the low rhythm of a heartbeat. It calls you closer into the halls of the ancient weavers. Long ago, many people spoke of women who wove the fabric of life itself. Threads stretched like rivers, colored in gold, silver, crimson, and deep night. Each thread carried the story of a soul, its beginning, its journey, its end. The loom was no ordinary loom. It was the universe itself, stretching across past and future, the visible and the unseen. In Greece, they called them the Moirai, the Fates. Three sisters, seated in eternal stillness. One drew the thread from the unseen, pure and shining. One measured, holding it against the pattern of life. One cut, quiet and final, her scissors glinting in the starlight of the mind. They did not rush. They did not falter. Every thread was part of a greater design, one too vast for any mortal eye. And yet they were gentle. For though their hands decided the length of life, their weaving was not cruel. It was careful, patient, balanced. Every knot was tied with meaning. Every pattern flowed like water, like the currents of destiny itself. Far to the north, the Norse told of other spinners, the Norns. They sat by the roots of Yggdrasil, the great world tree. Its branches stretched over gods and men, over stars and hidden lands. At its roots lay a well, a pool of wisdom, deep and still. Here the Norns carved runes upon the wood, weaving not with thread, but with time itself. Some said they spun, others said they carved, but always they shaped. Erd verdandi and skuld, past, present, and what is yet to come. Three sisters, three voices, whispering to the universe. The water at their feet was clear, yet when touched by their hands, it rippled with fate. They poured it over the roots of the tree, keeping it alive, feeding its endless branches. And in the ripples, destinies were set, flowing outward like circles upon a pond. In Egypt, too, threads of destiny were known. The goddess She, quiet and unseen, carried fate in her hands. Mayat, the keeper of balance, measured the soul on her scales. Every life, like a thread of linen, was weighed, stretched, and held within harmony. Though they did not speak of looms as the Greeks did, still the pattern was felt. Life was a weaving, a fabric of order, held together by the unseen hands of the divine. And in Mesopotamia, the goddess Ishtar, radiant as the star of morning, was said to cut the knots of destiny in her temple halls. Scribes wrote of women who wove upon divine looms, spinning the stars across the night, shaping the seasons, guiding kings, farmers, and wanderers with patterns set before their birth. Threads move. Threads entwine. Close your eyes and you may feel them. Fine as silk, soft as breath, they stretch across your mind. Some glow with brightness, warm and golden, like the sun through morning mist. Others are deep, dark and steady, like the quiet of midnight. Each thread belongs to someone, somewhere. Each thread belongs to you. Imagine a loom of endless size. Its beams are made of moonlight. Its shuttle moves with the rhythm of your heartbeat. The cloth grows row by row, soft and shimmering. Every laugh you have known is there, woven in threads of silver. Every tear is there too, a crystal knot that shines faintly in the fabric. Every meeting, every farewell, every step upon the earth, all of it becomes part of the weaving. The loom does not judge. It only holds. It carries your story with patience, with gentleness. In India, the image of weaving appeared as well. The goddesses of time and creation spoke of the world as a woven cloth. In hymns of old, the universe was a fabric stretched by divine hands. Every god, every human, every river, every tree. All threads in one endless tapestry. The weavers worked not only with lives, but with worlds. They spun night into day, storm into calm, silence into song. And so across many lands the image returned again and again. Women with looms, threads of gold and shadow, knots that tied the soul to the stars. The sound of the loom is steady now, soft, reassuring. It is like rain falling far away, like a stream winding through stone. Each beat of the shuttle is like a slow breath. In, out, You drift closer to the weavers. Their faces are calm, timeless. They do not raise their voices, nor do they turn their heads. Their eyes rest gently on the threads, and with hands that move like water, they guide each strand into its place. Some threads cross each other, entwining like lovers. Some run side by side, never touching. Some knot, holding fast. Some end, cut softly, disappearing into silence. And yet the pattern remains whole, always whole. The cloth glimmers, smooth and strong, stretching into the horizon of the dream. The Moirai, the Norns, the silent spinners of desert lands, all tell the same story in different tongues. That life is not broken, that nothing is wasted, that every color belongs, even the darkest. For without shadow, the bright threads cannot shine, and without silence, song cannot rise. Let your mind drift now into the weave. You float above it, weightless as a feather. The cloth spreads beneath you like a great river. You see valleys of green, deserts of gold, oceans of blue, all stitched into the tapestry of being. You see faces, countless faces, each a shining thread. Some near, some far, some long gone, some not yet born. All woven together, all part of the same fabric, and you are there too. Your thread glowing softly, winding among the rest. It touches others, binding them with quiet care. It shines, even in shadow. It belongs, fully and forever. The loom hums. The weavers do not tire. Their work has no beginning, no end. Their hands are as old as dawn, as gentle as dusk. They spin, they measure, they tie, they cut. And still the cloth grows. A fabric without edge, without seam. You rest in its embrace. Like a child beneath a warm blanket, you are held by threads of destiny, soft, unbroken, eternal. Now the sound grows faint. The loom fades into stillness. The stars above close one by one like candles gently blown out. The air deepens, cool and kind. Sleep drifts nearer, slow and steady. The weavers lower their hands. Their faces remain calm, peaceful, endless as night. They say nothing, for nothing is needed. Only the cloth remains, holding you in silence. Rest now, as the threads cradle you. Rest as the patterns fold around your spirit. Rest as your breath becomes one with the rhythm of the loom. The story is woven. The dream continues. Let us drift onward, into sleep, into stillness, into the quiet embrace of the weavers of fate. The night opens wide, like a still pond under silver light. The stars glimmer above, quiet as lanterns floating on dark water. A soft wind moves across the surface, rippling gently, and you drift with it, drawn once more into the dream world of stories. Far below, there is the sound of flowing water. It is not a storm, not a rushing flood. It is calm, steady, endless. The quiet song of rivers, of streams, of wells in the earth. Water that has been flowing since before memory. Water that carries the voices of goddesses, the gentle guardians of life. In the beginning, many people spoke of water as a mother. From her womb, the world was born. In the old hymns of Mesopotamia, there was Tiamat, the deep, the salt sea, vast and eternal. Though fierce in later tales, she was first remembered as the endless waters from which gods and humans arose. All rivers, all streams, carried whispers of her name. In Egypt, the Nile was not only a river, it was a gift of the goddess. Each year, when its waters rose, fields bloomed green and hunger was chased away. The people sang to Hapi, yet behind the name was always the quiet presence of women. Isis, who wept for her lost beloved, her tears swelling the river's banks, bringing life again to the dry earth. The Nile was her grief, and her grief was renewal. Across Greece, too, water held 1,000 feminine names. The naiads, gentle and shy, dwelt in streams, springs, and fountains. They were seen as protectors, offering cool drink to the weary, and healing to those who touched their pools. Some were said to live as long as their waters lived. If the spring dried, so too did the nymph fade away. They were bound to the flowing, as breath is bound to the body. The great rivers were also called father gods. Yet the springs, the wells, the trickling brooks, these belonged to daughters, sisters, and mothers, small guardians unseen but always near. They were thought to listen when mortals whispered prayers, to answer with ripples or with dreams in the quiet of night. In the green isles of the Celts, sacred wells dotted the land. Clear and deep, they were places of healing, and many were guarded by women. Brigid, radiant goddess of fire and water, was keeper of wells as well as flame. Her waters soothed the sick, washed away sorrow, and offered strength to the weary. Even in later days, her wells were visited by pilgrims, seeking renewal, tying ribbons to the trees that leaned over the waters. The wells were mirrors, showing not only the face, but the spirit beneath. To drink was to be blessed. To bathe was to be made whole. Always the water belonged to her hands, gentle and eternal. Far to the east, in the flowing rivers of India, the goddess Ganga descended. She was the sacred Ganges, a river shining like crystal in the light of dawn. It was said she came from the heavens, poured down from the hair of Shiva, to bless the earth below. Her waters cleansed the body and the soul, washing away the dust of sorrow, the weight of sin. To touch her was to touch grace itself. To rest by her banks was to feel the embrace of a mother. The Yamuna, too, was a goddess. Dark and gentle, she wound her way alongside stories of Krishna, carrying devotion upon her waves. Together, the rivers were seen as sisters, pouring blessings upon the people, ever flowing, ever giving. Even in the cold north, water sang with a woman's voice. The well of Urd, where the Norns kept the roots of the world tree alive, was sacred beyond measure. Clear waters, drawn up by careful hands, poured over Yggdrasil's roots, feeding its branches, sustaining all 9 realms. Without the well, the tree would wither. Without the tree, all life would fade. And so the Norns, silent queens of time, guarded the waters just as surely as they guided the threads of fate. You drift deeper now, hearing the many waters blend. A spring bubbling from stone, a river winding through desert sand, a well hidden in a quiet grove, a mighty stream rushing between mountains. Each sings with the same voice, the voice of women, keepers of renewal, keepers of life. The water glimmers, silver by moonlight, gold by day. It touches every field, every forest, every wandering path, and wherever it flows, the goddess is present. Water is gentle, yet it is also strong. It wears down the hardest stone. It carries ships upon its back. It turns dry soil into gardens. It gives itself freely, yet never runs out, for it returns again and again. Rain falls, rivers swell, seas rise and sink, but always the cycle begins anew. So too is the spirit of the sacred women of water. They give without end, yet are never emptied. They heal, they cleanse, they carry, they protect. They are wells of calm, springs of hope, rivers of memory. You stand now beside a clear pool. The night is quiet around you. Trees lean close, their leaves soft against the sky. The surface of the water is smooth, a perfect mirror. When you gaze within, you do not see only your reflection. You see the flowing of all that has been and all that will be. Your joys ripple there, your sorrows too, but none of it is heavy. The water carries it all, softly, endlessly, without judgment, without end. You dip your hand in, and it is cool, yet kind. The ripples spread outward, a gentle circle that reaches every shore. So too does your spirit flow, touching others in ways unseen, joining the greater waters of life. The rivers of myth, the wells of prayer, the springs of healing, all remind you of the same truth, that water is never only water. It is memory, it is blessing, it is renewal, and in every drop a goddess lingers. Now the sound of flowing grows softer, like a lullaby in the distance. The pool before you begins to fade, its surface melting into shadow. The wells close, the rivers drift into silence, the seas grow still, yet the presence of the sacred waters remains within and around you, quiet as breath, endless as night. Rest now, as if held by gentle waves. Rest as if cradled in a spring-fed pool. Rest as the waters of the world wash softly over your spirit. The rivers flow onward. The wells remain clear. The goddesses keep watch. Now sleep as the waters carry you into dreams, into stillness, into peace. The night settles like a soft cloak around you. Candles flicker in the distance, their flames bending gently, as if they too are listening. The air is calm, yet within it lies a hum, a quiet vibration, as though the unseen world is whispering. You drift toward an ancient place. Stone steps, worn smooth by countless feet, lead into a sanctuary of shadows and light. Here the air itself feels sacred, thick with memory, as if every breath carries the voices of those who once stood waiting. This is the realm of the oracles, the breath keepers, the women who inhaled the mysteries of the unseen and spoke what lay beyond. Long ago, people journeyed from far lands to hear a single word, a single phrase, from the lips of a woman touched by the divine. Kings carried offerings. Farmers brought simple gifts. Travelers knelt in silence. All waited for the oracle's breath, for her voice could guide nations, heal wounds, or prepare hearts for what must come. At Delphi in Greece there stood the great temple of Apollo. There, the Pythia, the oracle, would sit upon a sacred tripod above a fissure in the earth. The ground itself breathed, a mist rising from deep chambers below. The oracle would inhale this breath, closing her eyes, her body swaying as though moved by unseen winds. Her words came like waves, sometimes clear, sometimes veiled in riddles. Priests shaped them into verse, but all who listened knew the voice was more than human. It was the god's reply, delivered through the breath of a woman. The oracle's gift was not hers alone. Many lands spoke of women who carried visions. In Rome, the Sibyls were famed. At Cumae, one was said to live in a cave, her words flowing with the sound of the sea. She spoke not for herself, but for the spirit that moved within her, for the breath that stirred her chest. In the north, too, seers called vulvas sat in high seats, covered in cloaks of blue or fur. They inhaled the smoke of herbs, and their voices carried like songs across the fire. People gathered close, listening to words that spoke of battles, of harvests, of the winding paths of fate. The breath of prophecy flowed through chants, through rhythm, through trance. Breath has always been sacred. It is the first gift given at birth and the last released in death. To breathe is to live, to connect the body with the soul. And so the oracle's breath was more than sound. It was life made into vision. It was spirit moving through air. Every culture knew this in its own way. The Hebrew prophets spoke of the ruach, the divine wind, moving upon them, filling them with words they could not hold back. In India, sages spoke of prana, the life force carried on breath, binding all beings to the eternal. The oracle's gift was to step between, to breathe both mortal air and immortal wind, and to return with whispers of the beyond. Close your eyes and feel it. The air itself is never empty. It carries the scent of earth, the coolness of night, the warmth of unseen fires. Every breath is a thread, woven from the world outside into the quiet chambers within. The oracle's breath was just this, yet heightened, attuned. She listened more deeply than others dared. She opened her chest to winds most could not endure, and in that stillness she became a vessel. In temples, people gathered in silence. They brought questions heavy as stone. Should we go to war? Will the crops endure? Whom should we trust? They placed their burdens into the care of the oracle, trusting that her breath would lift them higher, deliver them into the hands of gods. And when she spoke, her words carried weight. Even if veiled, even if strange, they settled into the hearts of those who heard. For the oracle did not speak for herself. She was a mirror of wind, a vessel of air, a mouthpiece of mysteries. You drift now through a memory of one such temple. Torches line the walls. Their flames lean sideways, as if stirred by something unseen. At the center, a woman sits. Her eyes are half closed. Her chest rises, slowly, deeply. The air around her seems alive, moving as though it has form. Each breath she takes seems to draw the unseen closer. Each exhale carries a tremor, as if the world itself listens. You do not hear full sentences, only tones, like chants, like sighs, yet somehow the meaning touches you, not with the mind, but with the heart. Breath is also rhythm. It calms the racing heart. It rocks the body, like waves upon the shore. Inhale, exhale, like tides returning to the sea. The oracle's voice followed this rhythm, slowing those who listened, drawing them into her stillness. Her breath became theirs. Her calm became their calm. In this way, prophecy was more than vision. It was healing. It was alignment with the greater winds of the world. The oracles remind us of something simple, that wisdom does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers in the breath, in the space between words, in the silence after a sigh. The divine moves not only in thunder, but in the gentle stirrings of air. The oracle's breath was sacred because it taught patience. It asked people to listen, to wait, to trust what cannot be seen. Her breath was like the wind in the trees, moving leaves in patterns that only time reveals. Now the temple fades. The torches dim, the stone melts into shadow. Yet the breath remains, soft upon your cheek, gentle in your chest. The oracle has gone, but the rhythm she carried lingers still. You breathe now as she once breathed. Calm, slow, deep. The same air that moved through her lungs moves through yours. The same spirit that stirred her voice rests quietly within you. Let yourself rest in this. Let the rhythm of air cradle you. Let the oracle's breath become your own quiet song. The stars above drift slowly. The night grows deeper. The winds soften into silence. Let us drift onward into the stillness of dreams. Now rest as the stars return and the breath of the world carries you into peace. Night stretches wide, like a soft veil laid across the earth. The stars above shimmer faintly, their glow blurred by drifting clouds. In the hush of this stillness, shadows move slowly, like dancers hidden in moonlight. The air carries the faint echo of drums. Not loud, not sharp, but gentle, like a heartbeat heard from far away. It is the rhythm of something ancient, something both secret and sacred. You drift closer, drawn into a circle of firelight. The flames are low, their glow softened by smoke. Around them, figures gather. Their faces are not their own. They wear masks, some of wood, some of clay, some woven from reeds and cloth. Behind each mask, the eyes shine quietly, half seen, half hidden. In many lands, masks were more than coverings. They were doors. They were vessels. When a woman wore the mask, she was no longer herself. Her body became a path for the unseen. Her voice carried not her own tone, but the voices of spirits, of ancestors, of gods. The mask turned her face into mystery, and the mystery drew the sacred near. In West Africa, women once danced with carved faces upon their own. The mask was painted with earth tones, its lips curved into silence. When she stepped into the circle, her steps were slow, her arms wide as wings. The people did not see her. They saw the spirit she carried. Her voice, when it rose, was like the rustling of leaves, like the murmur of wind through tall grass. The mask hid her, yet revealed something greater. In the islands of the Pacific, the chant of women rose beneath the stars. They wore veils of bark cloth, painted in spirals of red and white. As they swayed, the cloth caught the firelight, and it seemed as if the night itself moved with them. The mask of fabric made them more than women. They became tides. They became waves. They became the breath of the ocean itself. The people who watched felt the boundary between worlds grow thin. It was as though the sea herself had stepped into human form and was dancing among them. The mask was not always carved, nor always worn upon the face. Sometimes it was painted upon the skin. Lines of red ochre, dots of white clay, trails of ash drawn down the cheeks. In this way, the face became a canvas of ritual. The paint hid the ordinary. It revealed the sacred beneath. Women of the old tribes sang as they painted one another. Each stroke carried meaning. A line across the brow was a prayer to the sky. A circle on the cheek was a call to the ancestors. When the mask of paint was complete, the woman was no longer only herself. She was a bridge, a voice, a vessel of the divine. The mask was always mystery. It concealed, yet it revealed. It silenced, yet it gave voice. It was a reminder that the sacred was not bound to one form. Through the mask, a woman could be many things. A goddess of the hunt, a spirit of the harvest, a shadow of the dead, a breath of the wind. Behind the mask, she was free to become all of these. You drift deeper into the circle. The drums grow softer still, a pulse of time beneath the night. The masked dancers sway together. Their steps are slow, measured, like the turning of the seasons. Each movement is more than movement. It is story. It is memory. It is prayer. The chants rise, low and steady, like waves upon a quiet shore. No single voice leads. They weave together, layer upon layer, until the sound becomes one body, one breath, one great voice moving through many mouths. The masks tilt, their eyes glinting in firelight. It feels as if the flames themselves listen, as if the stars lean closer, as if the unseen world has gathered here. In Greece, masks carried the weight of story. Women of the chorus wore painted faces fixed in expressions of sorrow or joy. Through the mask, their voices rang louder, reaching the crowd beyond the stage. But more than that, the mask allowed them to become part of something greater. The weaving of myth, the retelling of the sacred past. The mask made their voices eternal. Their stories linger still, like faint echoes in stone theaters where the air remembers the songs once sung. The hidden mask was not always for the crowd. Sometimes it was for the self. When a woman covered her face, she could step beyond her daily name. She could speak truths that could not be spoken in the light. The mask gave safety, the mask gave freedom. It was a shield of silence, and in that silence, a deeper voice could emerge. Even now, when masks are worn in play or ritual, something shifts. The air feels different. The self feels wider, as if another presence watches from just behind the eyes. Masks remind us that the world itself wears veils. The mountains wear mist, the oceans wear foam, the night wears stars. Each covering hides but also reveals. It softens the edge of reality, and it invites the unseen to draw near. So too with the masked women of ritual. Through them, the hidden became visible. The invisible took on form. The people could touch mystery, if only for a moment, before it slipped back into shadow. The circle of dancers slows. The chants fall into silence. The fire burns low, its embers glowing red like the eyes of the earth. The masks are lifted away. Faces emerge, soft with sweat, soft with breath. Yet for a moment longer, the mystery lingers. The women still glow with the presence they carried. The air itself feels hushed, as though reluctant to release the spirits that stood here. Now the night deepens. The masks are set aside. The fire dies into ash. The dancers lie down, their breaths steady, their eyes closed. The ritual has ended, but its echo continues. It flows into the soil, into the trees, into the stars above. You too carry the echo now. It drifts in your chest like a soft hum, like the memory of drums fading into silence. Let the masks fall away. Let the veils of the day dissolve. Breathe softly, as the women once breathed beneath painted faces and woven cloth. Feel the quiet mystery around you, a gentle veil between waking and sleep. The night itself wears a mask of stars. The world breathes slowly, and you too can drift behind the veil. Let us drift onward into deeper stillness. Now rest, as the hidden masks of ritual fade into the silence of dreams. The night stretches wide, a velvet ocean above, lit with countless stars. Each star is a small flame, a whisper of light in the endless dark. They shine softly, not to wake the world, but to guide it gently into rest. The air is still. A cool breeze drifts like a sigh, touching the trees, slipping across the quiet earth. You look upward, and the sky feels close, as if it leans toward you, inviting you to listen. For the stars do not only shine, they speak. They tell stories, old as the first fires, woven into the fabric of the heavens. Tonight we drift among those stories. We follow the paths of the night sky sisters, women of myth and memory, set among the constellations where they remain forever. In many lands, people looked upward and saw not only lights, but lives. They traced lines between stars, drawing shapes upon the sky. Those shapes became sisters, daughters, mothers, goddesses. The night was a tapestry, and each star was a stitch. Among the most ancient tales is that of the seven sisters. You may know them as the Pleiades, a cluster of stars that shimmer together like a small crown of light. The sisters move as one, dancing in the heavens, their glow tender, never harsh. They are seen by all the earth, their story told in many tongues. In Greece, the sisters were daughters of Atlas, the Titan who held the sky upon his shoulders. Their mother was Pleione, a sea nymph of flowing beauty. When danger fell upon them, the gods placed the sisters in the sky to keep them safe forever. There they remain, bound to each other, never parted, always shining as one. People who gaze upon them say they look like lanterns, guiding travelers at sea. Some say they are a sign of planting, for their rising and setting told farmers when to sow their seeds. Others see them as guardians of time, measuring the seasons with their light. But beneath every telling, they are sisters first. Seven lights, bound together in the dark, a family held in eternity. Far away, the Aboriginal peoples of Australia also told of the seven sisters. For them, the stars were women chased across the sky by Orion, the great hunter. The chase is endless, for though he follows, he never catches. Night after night, the sisters move ahead, always together, always beyond his reach. Their story is sung in dream time, woven into sacred song lines. Each rise of the cluster carries memory. Each setting is a reminder of the great cycle of life and sky. Even now, as the stars shimmer overhead, the old songs still drift on the wind. The sisters shine, reminding all who see them of endurance, of kinship, of light that cannot be caught. In Japan, they are Subaru, a word that means to unite. Their cluster gave its name to the symbol of gathering, 6 stars shining as one family. Here, too, the sisters are bound, a sign of togetherness, a constellation of unity. So many lands, so many voices, yet all see the same glow. The seven sisters belong to the world, their story carried everywhere, their light a bridge between cultures, between dreams. But the sisters are not the only women woven into the night. There are mothers as well, and daughters, and goddesses. In Egypt, the goddess Nut was the sky itself. Her body arched overhead, her skin painted with stars. She was the great mother, holding the heavens in her embrace. Every star was a jewel upon her flesh, and those who looked upward were looking into her. To sleep beneath the stars was to sleep in her arms. The people of the Nile believed she swallowed the sun each evening, holding it in her body through the dark, and birthed it again at dawn. Each night she stretched wide, filled with stars, each one her child. So the night was never empty. It was the womb of the goddess, the shelter of her children, a place of safety and renewal. In the lands of the north, the Norse told of Frigg, queen of the heavens, who knew the fates of all beings. Her stars watched over travelers, her presence spread wide across the sky. The northern lights, those dancing rivers of green and violet, were said to be the veils of women, warrior spirits moving across the heavens, lighting the world with their silent dance. Here, too, the night sky was not only light, but life, a place where women moved, sisters and mothers, guardians and guides, shining above the snow and ice. The stars themselves were often thought of as souls. When a person died, their spirit rose upward to join the eternal constellations. Some became birds taking wing among the heavens. Some became fires lit upon the endless dark. Some became sisters joining the seven who already shone. In this way, the sky was never far. It was always close, always watching. The dead were not lost, but placed among the stars, where they could guide the living and shine forever. Look upward now. The night sky stretches far, yet it feels gentle, like a blanket laid across the world. Each star is a pinprick of light, but together they make stories, maps, songs. They remind us that even in the deepest dark, there is always a glow. The night sky sisters shine most of all. They are family. They are memory. They are the tender lights that show us the way forward. When you see them, you are not alone, for their glow is the glow of kinship, and kinship never fades. The night deepens. The stars shimmer on, but your eyes grow heavy. The stories of the sisters linger in your chest, soft as breath. Let them guide you now, as they once guided sailors, as they once guided farmers, as they once guided dreamers. Drift like a star into the wide sky. Drift into the arms of the goddess. Drift into the company of sisters, whose light has never gone out. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the night sky sisters return to their quiet watch, and the stars above become the stars within. The night opens softly, as though a hidden hand has pulled a veil of dusk across the sky. The air is still, holding a cool sweetness like fruit ripening under starlight. Shadows drift between the trees, and the gentle rustle of leaves becomes a lullaby. Here begins the tale of the gardens, and of the women who kept them. Long ago, in the folds of earth where rivers curved and mountains breathed, there were gardens sacred to the divine. They were not gardens of wealth or power, but of balance, of breath, of renewal. Every flower, every vine, every fruit tree was part of a living prayer, and at the heart of these orchards walked women known as the keepers of gardens. Their footsteps were soft, yet the soil remembered them. Their hands were gentle, yet the roots leaned toward their touch. They carried no crowns, no jewels of conquest. Their treasures were seeds, their wisdom was water, their gift was care. A garden, they believed, was a mirror of the soul. When tended with love, it gave more than food. It gave peace. It gave beauty. It gave the quiet strength of life continuing, even after storms. To walk among their trees was to walk among symbols. The fig spoke of abundance. The olive whispered of peace. The pomegranate shimmered with the secret of rebirth. And vines, with their curling tendrils, reminded the wanderer that life always finds its way upward toward the light. There was a story, told in low voices beside glowing oil lamps, of one keeper whose garden never died. Seasons passed, snow came and left, but her orchard remained green. Some said she sang to the soil. Others said her breath carried the warmth of spring. But she only smiled and let the fruits fall into the baskets of children and into the bowls of the hungry. Her secret, was simple. She saw the plants not as tools, but as kin. The branches were arms, the roots were veins, the blossoms were breath, and in every falling petal she saw a lesson, that beauty does not end, but changes. The keeper of gardens was not alone. Across lands and ages, in temples and in meadows, women bent close to the earth. They poured water from clay jars. They sang songs older than stone. They taught daughters how to place seeds in the soil as if placing dreams into sleep. Some gardens were wild, filled with untamed herbs. Their fragrance rose in the night like incense, calming the restless heart. Some gardens were ordered, trees planted in careful rows, paths lined with smooth white stones. But whether wild or arranged, all were sacred. All were reflections of care. The garden was also a bridge. It joined the world of the living to the hidden world below. Roots carried whispers into the dark earth, and the soil returned those whispers as fruit. To eat from the garden was to taste both sunlight and shadow. It was to take in the whole circle of being. Stories tell of women who guarded sacred groves, where no tree could be cut and no branch broken. Travelers approached those groves with reverence, for they believed spirits walked there. The rustle of leaves was not only wind, but the voices of ancestors, and the keepers listened, their hearts tuned like harps to the quiet music of roots and rain. Night after night, the stars leaned down to watch the gardens. Their silver light traced the edges of leaves and turned dew into shining pearls. It was said that constellations themselves once came down as seeds, carried in the hands of divine sisters. When planted, they grew into trees whose blossoms mirrored the stars. So every orchard was also a sky, blooming on earth. And when the keeper walked beneath the branches, she was walking between heavens, one above filled with constellations, one below filled with blossoms. Her spirit moved between them, as easily as a bird glides between two winds. There was quiet power in their tending, not the power of kings or armies, but the power of renewal. Storms could tear branches, droughts could crack the soil, but the garden always returned. The keeper knew this truth, that life leans always toward return, and she trusted it, like one trusts the rising of dawn. Children followed the keepers, carrying small baskets, learning the patience of growth. They learned that fruit does not appear in haste, but only after time, after seasons, after care. They learned that beauty cannot be forced, only invited, and they learned that every garden held a story. Some stories were sweet, like honey dripping from figs. Some were sharp, like the taste of herbs. But all were needed, all were part of the feast. The keeper's hands often bore the marks of work, soil beneath the nails, scratches from thorns, calluses from digging and planting. Yet those hands were seen as sacred, for they touched not only plants, but the very rhythm of life itself. When she pressed her palms to the trunk of a tree, she felt the slow pulse of earth moving upward. When she cradled seeds, she held in her fingers the promise of centuries yet to come. And when she wove garlands of flowers, she wove together beauty and impermanence, reminding all who saw them that every moment blooms only once. In the stillness of night, the gardens glowed with a secret light, not the fire of torches, not the blaze of stars, but a softer radiance, as though the plants themselves remembered the sun and dreamed of its warmth. This glow wrapped the keeper like a cloak. She became part of it, a figure of shadow and shimmer, both human and more than human. In those hours, prayers rose with the fragrance of blossoms. They were not shouted or demanded. They were whispered like petals falling. And the garden listened. The earth received them, and in time returned them as fruit, as shade, as life renewed. In many lands, sacred fruit was offered to the divine. Bowls of figs, jars of oil, pomegranates split open, their crimson seeds glistening like jewels. The offering was more than food. It was gratitude, given back to the cycle of life. It was a reminder that what nourishes us is not owned, but shared. The keeper of gardens held this truth in silence. She did not preach it. She lived it. Her life was her offering, a daily tending of roots, branches, and blossoms. Through her care, the people remembered that abundance is not in taking, but in giving. Legends say that even now, when a grove is left untouched, her spirit walks among the trees. The wind through the leaves carries her steps. The fragrance of herbs carries her breath, and the patience of the soil carries her wisdom. If you walk gently, if you pause long enough, you may feel her presence in the cool shade of an orchard. You may hear her song in the hum of bees and the whisper of vines. And if you close your eyes, you may see her, tending, always tending, the eternal garden. The night deepens, and the stars rest above the trees. The orchard becomes still, the blossoms folding into sleep. Somewhere in the darkness, the keeper's hands still move. Not hurried, not weary, always steady, always gentle. Her work is endless and endlessly peaceful. Let the image of her linger with you. Let it soften your breath. Let it cradle your spirit as though you too are a seed, safe in the soil of night. The gardens remain. Their beauty remains. Their promise remains. And now, let us drift onward. Rest as the blossoms rest. Sleep as the gardens sleep. And when the stars return, may you wake with the same quiet renewal, nourished, rooted, whole. The night opens with a hush. The stars glimmer softly as though they are candles set in the sky. The air is cool and light, carrying a sense of vastness. Above, the heavens stretch like a quiet ocean of silver. It is here, between the earth and the endless sky, that the winged protectors move. For as long as stories have been told, people have spoken of beings with wings. They are figures of light, hovering between realms, not fully of earth and not fully of heaven. Their presence brings comfort, like a hand placed gently upon the heart. Their wings are not only feathers, they are symbols of care, of shelter, of a bridge between worlds. Among these beings, there are those who appear as women, their forms graceful, their movements calm, their presence soft as moonlight on water. They are the protectors with wings, guardians of thresholds, keepers of dreams, messengers of the unseen. Their wings are said to shine in different colors. Some glow like the dawn, pale gold and soft rose. Others shimmer like twilight, with hues of silver and violet. And some appear dark as night, yet filled with a hidden radiance, like stars tucked into velvet. Each pair of wings tells its own story. Each carries a meaning, a breath of protection woven through feather and light. The sound of their wings is never harsh. It is like the hush of wind through tall grass. It is like the soft beat of a distant drum, a rhythm that calms, steady and slow, echoing the heartbeat of the world itself. One tale speaks of a guardian who hovered at the edge of battle, not to strike, not to fight, but to shield. Her wings stretched wide, and those beneath her felt a calmness flow through them, like cool water poured over fire. In her presence, fear was softened. The trembling of hands grew still, and even in chaos, her light gave a reminder. You are not alone. Another tale tells of a winged protector who walked beside travelers in the desert. The heat pressed down. The sand burned, but her shadow fell across the weary, giving relief. Her wings became like a sheltering roof, her voice like a spring bubbling from the dust. Those who followed her reached safety, though they never saw her face clearly. They only remembered the sound of wings and the feeling of being guided. Sometimes these protectors are seen in dreams. A child stirs in restless sleep, troubled by shadows of the mind, and then gently a wing brushes across the dream, like a soft breeze through curtains. The darkness fades. The child rests. The morning comes, bright and kind. In such moments, the protectors with wings remind the dreamer that sleep itself is a passage, that the soul too has wings, able to drift between waking and rest, between earth and heaven. Their gift is not always seen, but always felt. In sacred stories, wings carry more than flight. They are symbols of nearness to the divine, a reminder that the unseen world is never far. That care, that love, that presence is always just beyond the veil of sight. When the protectors descend, it is said the air itself grows gentler. The wind slows. The stars seem brighter. Even silence deepens, becoming a kind of music. Those who have felt this presence describe it not with fear, but with awe. Awe that comforts rather than overwhelms. Awe that feels like being held. Many lands and traditions speak of winged women who watch over the living. In some, they are messengers who carry prayers upward, as if each feather is a word of hope. In others, they are guardians who stand at thresholds, doorways, crossroads, moments of change. Wherever a passage opens, they are near. Their wings spread like a promise that no step into the unknown is ever taken alone. There are whispers of protectors whose wings shield the gates of gardens beyond time, gardens of light, where the soul may rest after long journeys. At those gates, they stand silent, their wings crossed in gentle strength, not forbidding, but guiding. Their presence ensures that all who enter pass in peace, untouched by fear. In ancient temples, images of winged women were carved into stone. Their forms leaned forward, as if always ready to move. Their wings curved around them like cloaks, and worshippers, gazing upon them, felt the calm of being watched over. The carvings did not move, yet the heart felt movement. The soul felt guarded. Candles flickered at their feet, and the rising smoke was believed to mingle with their wings, carrying prayers upward into the sky. The smoke, the wings, the silence. Together they formed a language beyond words. Sometimes the protectors are said to appear at the edges of grief. A mourner sits by a grave, the air heavy with loss, and then, softly, the sound of wings moves through the stillness. Not loud, not startling, just enough to remind the heart that love is not gone, that what was once seen may now be felt, that what was once near in body is near in spirit. Guarded by wings of light, there is also a gentleness in their gaze. Stories tell that when the protectors look upon someone, their eyes do not pierce, they soothe. They see not only what is, but what may yet bloom. Their sight holds patience, as though they have known the rhythm of ages and understand the slow unfolding of every soul. To be seen by them is to be understood. To be seen by them is to rest. In the deep hours of night, when the world is hushed, one may imagine their wings stretched across the sky itself. The Milky Way becomes their shimmering path. The stars become the feathers of a vast celestial wing, and the moon rests within it, like a pearl cupped in the palm of light. Even if unseen, their presence is near. They are in the hush of the wind, in the shimmer of twilight clouds, in the comfort that comes without reason, like a warmth in the chest or a calm that settles suddenly over the heart. The protectors with wings do not speak in human tongues. Their language is felt more than heard. It is in the lifting of fear, the easing of sorrow, the sudden sense of being safe. It is in the courage that rises gently, like dawn through darkness. Their message is simple. You are held, you are guided, you are not alone. Children often look to the sky, seeing shapes in clouds, imagining wings. Perhaps this is the soul remembering. Perhaps this is the heart recognizing what it has always known, that above and around, wings are always near, and that every life is guarded, like a flame sheltered from the wind. The night deepens further. The stars tilt westward, slow and patient. The air is cool and still. One can almost hear the rustle of wings in the silence, like pages turning in a vast book of light. The protectors with wings are always near, though unseen. They hover at thresholds, they guide in dreams, they shield in sorrow, they walk in silence. Their gift is not power, but presence, and presence is enough, so let the image of them rest in your mind. Wings soft as starlight, eyes gentle as moonlit water, a calmness that stretches across the sky. Let this image cradle you, as though you too are under the shelter of vast wings. Let your breath slow, like the gentle beat of feathers in the night. Let your spirit rest, guarded and safe, for the night is long, but it is watched over. The path is dark, but it is guided. The heart is weary, but it is held. Now drift as they drift, rest as they rest, and let the stars return, carrying their silent guardianship, until dawn unfolds. The night is still. The stars lean low over the quiet earth. Somewhere in the distance, a drum begins to sound. It is not loud. It is steady, like the heartbeat of the world itself. The air moves gently, carrying the faint rhythm as if it were a breeze through tall grass. The ground feels alive, waiting. Here, within the glow of firelight, the sacred circle takes shape. It is not a circle drawn with stone, nor one bound by walls. It is formed by people, gathered in reverence. Feet pressing lightly into earth, hands resting at their sides. Eyes turned to the flames, to the moon, to the unseen, and when the drum calls again, the dancers begin to move. They step in slow rhythm. Their movements spiral, then sway, then return again to the center. Every step is a prayer. Every gesture is an offering. From the beginning of time, dance was more than motion. It was a language, a way of speaking without words, and women often carried this language into ritual. Their steps did not seek to perform. They sought to connect, to link the body with the soul, the earth with the sky, the human with the divine. The sacred circle was the heart of this connection. It had no corners, no edges, no end. Just flow. Like rivers, like stars, like seasons, each dancer was both part of the circle and part of eternity. Some danced barefoot, toes pressed into soil, feeling the cool life of the ground beneath them. Others wore bells around their ankles so that with each step the air shimmered with sound. Cloth flowed from their arms like wings, brushing against firelight and shadow. Every movement was softened by night, yet filled with quiet strength. The circle did not rush. It turned with patience, like the earth turning beneath the heavens. The dancers swayed as if they were reeds by water. They lifted their arms as though they were branches reaching upward to the stars. Their circles became spirals, and the spirals became prayers. In many lands, stories tell of such sacred dances. In one, women gathered under a full moon, their steps tracing the shape of the heavens above. They believed that the circle of dancers reflected the circle of stars, that by moving in harmony, they reminded the sky of the earth, and the earth of the sky. In another, the circle was danced around fire. The flames leapt upward, carrying the prayers of the dancers into the night. Every step was believed to feed the flame with devotion. Every turn gave the fire a reason to glow brighter. And in yet another, women danced to the sound of drums and rattles, their movements summoning rain. Their sways mirrored the fall of droplets. Their arms moved like flowing streams. The heavens answered with clouds and thunder, blessing the fields with water. The sacred circle was also a place of healing. When sorrow weighed heavy, dancers moved in slow patterns, their steps like soothing breaths. The circle held the grief, cradled it, and softened it. And when joy overflowed, the circle became a spiral of laughter, light, and life. It could hold all emotions, weaving them into the larger rhythm of the world. The movement was not only outward, it was inward too. With each turn, the dancers stepped closer to the center of themselves. The circle became a mirror. It showed them who they were, children of the earth, yet filled with starlight. The dance reminded them, you are body, you are spirit, you are part of the eternal flow. Some circles were danced in silence. Only the sound of feet brushing against earth could be heard. Others were woven with chants. Voices rose and fell, humming in harmony with the steps. The chant was not sung to impress, but to ground. Each note was like a stone laid into the foundation of the ritual, steady and sure. When drums joined, the rhythm pulsed through every heart. It was the same beat that flowed through rivers, through roots, through veins. It was the reminder that all life shares the same pulse, that no one dances alone. The women in the sacred circle were seen as keepers of balance. Their movements echoed the cycles of nature. When they stepped to the left, it was the waning of the moon. When they stepped to the right, it was the waxing. When they raised their arms, it was the growing sun. When they lowered them, it was the fading night. Their bodies became the sky, the seasons, the tides. By watching them, the community remembered the rhythm of life. They saw in the dance the promise that all things return, that after darkness, light comes, that after stillness, movement awakens. Legends tell of dancers who were believed to draw the gaze of the gods. When the circle moved in harmony, the divine was said to lean closer, watching, listening. The movements of the women were like words of a language spoken not with mouths, but with bodies. And in that language, gratitude was expressed. Petitions were made. Blessings were called down. There were circles of joy and circles of farewell. In times of harvest, the dance was full of laughter, feet quick and bright, arms wide as if embracing the abundance. In times of mourning, the steps slowed, the circle tightened, the dancers moving with care, as if carrying a fragile light. No matter the purpose, the circle always returned to peace. It was a container for all of life, turning endlessly, never broken. To witness the sacred dance was to feel time itself soften. The world outside the circle grew dim, like a dream fading away. Only the rhythm remained. Only the glow of fire, the shimmer of moonlight, the hush of feet against soil. The dance stretched between moments, as if eternity itself had opened. Imagine now, as you drift in thought, that you too are within such a circle. The fire glows warmly at the center. The air carries the pulse of a drum. Around you, others step in rhythm, their movements calm flowing, sure. You join them, your feet moving lightly. Your breath settles into the same pattern. You are part of the whole, part of the spiral, part of the prayer. Each step is soft. Each step is steady. And as you turn, you feel both the weight of the earth and the vastness of the stars. You belong to both. You are held by both. The sacred circle has no end. It turns quietly like the heavens turning overhead. It carries those within it through sorrow, through joy, through silence, through song. It carries them toward the center of themselves and outward to the great mystery beyond. The dancers of the sacred circle move not only for themselves, but for all. Their prayers ripple outward like rings of water spreading from a single stone. They remind the world of harmony. They remind the soul of peace. Now the drum grows softer. The fire fades to embers. The circle slows. Feet come to rest. Hands fold gently at the heart, and silence returns, deep and kind. The dance is ended, but the rhythm remains. It lingers in the earth, in the air, in the heart. It carries onward, like a lullaby that does not fade. So let the circle rest in your mind. A circle of dancers, stepping gently, endlessly, peacefully. Let their movement cradle you as though you are within the same rhythm. Let it guide you deeper into calm. For the night is wide, the stars are steady, and the circle continues. Now rest, as the sacred dance drifts onward, turning quietly beneath the moon. The night has deepened. The stars hang quiet in their places, silver and still. The wind has slowed, brushing softly through unseen trees. It feels as though the world itself has entered a dream. And here, within this dream, a presence stirs. Not in brightness, not in flame, but in the hush of shadow. It is gentle yet vast. It is dark yet tender. It is the mother of shadows. She is not fear. She is not threat. She is the keeper of endings, the guardian of silence, the guide through unseen doors. When the sun fades, she is there. When the final breath falls, she is near. When one path closes, she leads toward another. Since the dawn of story, people have spoken of her in many names. In the lands of stone temples, she was the queen of the underworld, wearing a crown of night. In the deserts, she was the Black Mother, who wrapped the dead in her arms as a mother cradles a child. In the forests, she was the shadowed huntress, who walked between trees as dusk followed her steps. Though her forms changed, her heart remained the same. She was not destruction. She was transition. She was the one who knew that endings are only beginnings folded in silence. The Mother of Shadows walks softly. Her robe is woven of night itself. It does not shine, yet it shimmers faintly, like velvet touched by moonlight. Her face is not harsh, but calm. Her eyes hold depth, as if they were pools where stars might fall and rest. When she appears, the air grows still. Not heavy, not cold, just still, like the pause between two breaths. It is in this stillness that her power lives. For she carries the gift of quiet. She carries the gift of rest. Those who feared her did not understand. They saw only the shadow and thought it was emptiness. But those who listened closely knew better. For within the shadow lives healing. Within the shadow grows renewal. Seeds do not sprout in light alone. They rest in the dark soil first. And so too does the soul. The Mother of Shadows tends this soil. She watches over the hidden roots. She knows the secret work that happens unseen. When all seems still, she whispers, "Do not fear the dark. It is only the womb of what is to come." In many ancient myths, the dark goddess was the one who descended. She walked down into caves, into underworlds, into places below. Her journey was always one of surrender. She laid aside her jewels, her crown, her robes, her name. She gave herself completely to silence, and there, in the depths, she discovered truth. She learned that only by entering darkness could one be reborn in light. Her story was not about loss, but about transformation. The shadow was never an end. It was the passage into new dawn. Imagine her now, moving quietly through the world. She walks where twilight lingers. She walks in the folds of caves, in the stillness of midnight lakes. She rests beside those who sleep, her hand placed gently on their dreams. She does not wake them. She simply protects them, keeping their rest safe. She is the mother of endings, yes, but she is also the mother of peace. For what is peace if not the soft letting go? What is peace if not a shadow that holds you tenderly, asking nothing, only giving rest? Her symbols were many. The owl who sees in darkness, the serpent who sheds its skin and begins anew, the crescent moon, thin and quiet, yet always returning. All were her companions. All reminded her children that life and death, beginning and ending, are not enemies but partners. In the sacred stories of the underworld queens, people often spoke of gates. A soul would pass through, leaving behind what was no longer needed. At each gate, a layer fell away, the cloak, the crown, the jewels, the pride, until at last nothing remained but the true self, bare, shining, eternal. The Mother of Shadows guided this journey. She stood at the gates, patient and kind. She whispered, "Leave what is heavy. You no longer need it. Step forward, lighter now." And with each step, the soul became freer, until at last it reached the center and found not fear, but calm. In silence, she teaches. Her lessons are not shouted. They are not carved into stone. They are whispered softly, in the way the night wraps around the world. She teaches that all must rest. She teaches that surrender is not defeat. She teaches that shadow is not emptiness, but fullness unseen. When people prayed to her, they did not ask for riches or victories. They asked for release. Release from pain. Release from fear. Release from the chains of old griefs. And she answered with silence, with shadow, with the comfort of letting go. Imagine now that you are walking a path at night. The air is soft. The stars are scattered above you. The moon hangs low, silver and thin. The path curves gently, leading into a grove.
And there she waits, the mother of shadows. Her hand extends, calm and inviting.
You feel no fear, only a quiet trust. She leads you into the circle of trees. She leads you to a place where the earth is cool, where the night hums gently, where time feels far away. You sit, you breathe, and she wraps her cloak of shadows around you, not to hide you but to cradle you, to remind you that even in darkness you are held, even in silence you are safe. Her daughters, the dark goddesses of many lands, carry her gifts. One holds the torch, lighting the way through caves of the soul. Another carries the key, opening hidden doors of mystery. Another wears a crown of stars that only appear when the sky is black. All are guardians of the in-between. All stand beside those who wander through endings, guiding them gently to new beginnings. To honor her is to honor the cycles of life. To honor her is to accept that all things change. That day turns to night. That summer fades to autumn. That every breath comes with both an inhale and an exhale. Her gift is balance. Her gift is trust in the turning of time. In the great silence she keeps, there is music too. Not the music of flutes or strings, but the music of stillness. The music of leaves resting, of water pausing before its next ripple, of stars unmoving in the sky. It is the music of deep rest, the music that allows the heart to heal. Now as you drift in thought, let her presence move closer, not to frighten but to calm. She places her hand upon your shoulder. You feel the weight ease from you, as if your burdens have been lifted. She gathers them gently, folding them into her cloak, letting them dissolve into shadow. You are lighter now. You are safe. The Mother of Shadows smiles, though her smile is soft and unseen. She whispers, "Rest now. Let the night hold you. There is nothing more you must do." Her voice is like the hush of the wind, like the quiet tide of an unseen sea. Her presence is steady, endless, kind. The shadows lengthen, the stars remain. The world grows still once more. Her cloak covers the earth, as it always has, as it always will. And in this cloak there is peace. In this cloak there is rest. In this cloak you are safe, you are cradled, you are eternal. So let the night deepen. Let the silence soften. Let the shadows embrace you, not as endings, but as beginnings waiting to bloom. For the Mother of Shadows stands watch. She is near. She is kind. She is the gentle guide of all things that pass into rest. Now drift onward. Now let go. Now rest. As the stars return and the shadows cradle your dreams, the night lies deep and hushed. The stars shimmer like quiet lamps above the earth. A soft silver glow spreads across the horizon, touching mountain peaks and the crowns of trees. All is still. All is calm. It is in this stillness that a final story begins. It is the story of the eternal feminine light, a thread that has never broken, a flame that has never gone out. From ancient temples to hidden groves, from deserts to rivers, from one faith to another, she has always been there, not bound by name, not bound by place, only present, always present. Imagine the light first as a small flame. It flickers in the darkness of a cave. The cave walls are painted with old symbols, spirals, hands, stars. Long ago, women tended this flame. They whispered prayers as they fed it with oil. They believed it was not only fire, but spirit itself. The flame was more than heat. It was the living heart of life. From that small flame, the thread stretched outward, into temples where goddesses stood in stone, into fields where farmers looked upward for blessing, into the hearts of those who sought comfort in the night. The eternal feminine light has always been a guide, soft, never harsh, gentle, never blinding. It is the light of the moon, not the glare of the sun. It is the glow of candles in the dark, the shimmer of stars on quiet water, the radiance of dawn that wakes the earth with kindness. Many names have been given to this light. Some called it the Virgin, some called it the Mother, Some called it the Queen of Heaven. Others spoke of her as the lamp, the torch, the guiding flame that never goes out. Though the names changed, the essence remained the same. It was always her, always the eternal light. She was honored in stories of women who bore wisdom. In the Egyptian lands, she was the goddess who lit the path of the dead, her lamp shining in the underworld. In the Greek Isles, she was the torchbearer, holding her flame as a guide through mystery. In the soft hills of Europe, she was the lady of the hearth, keeper of the fire that warmed every home. And later, in chapels filled with candles, she became the mother clothed in radiance, her light a comfort for every prayer. Always, she was the same, the thread of light, unbroken, the flame that cradled souls in peace. Think of light as memory. The stars above are memories of fire, ancient and far away. And so too, the feminine light holds memory. The memory of comfort, of care, of hands that soothe and voices that sing. The memory of a cradle rocking. The memory of gentle eyes watching over. This is why she is eternal. Because memory itself is eternal. Because love itself does not end. Her light does not only shine outward, it also shines within. It glows softly in the human heart. It appears in moments of tenderness when one person helps another. It flickers in times of silence, when peace is chosen over anger. It rises in times of grief, when sorrow is carried with grace. Her flame is there, quiet but steady, always near, always guiding. The eternal feminine light is also the light of renewal. For every night is followed by morning. Every winter is followed by spring. Every silence is followed by song. She is this cycle, endless and kind. She teaches that no darkness lasts forever. Even the longest night is softened by starlight. Even the deepest cave glows when a single flame is carried inside. Imagine yourself now, standing in a vast field beneath the night sky. The air is cool, the grass soft beneath your feet. Above you, countless stars shimmer. And in their glow, you feel her presence, not in one star alone, but in the whole sky. Not in one flame alone, but in every glimmer of light the world holds. She is the thread between them. She is the invisible hand that joins one spark to another, weaving them into a pattern, a constellation, a story. She is the promise that nothing is ever truly lost, that every flame continues in another form, in another place, in another time. Across cultures, her symbols were always light, the lamp glowing in the dark, the crescent moon bending like a smile above the horizon, the morning star rising before the sun, the halo drawn around sacred heads. Even the simple candle carried into quiet rooms was hers. Always light, always presence, and light at its heart is safety. Light tells the traveler, you are not alone. Light tells the lost, there is a path forward. Light tells the weary, here is rest, here is home. This is the eternal feminine light. Not blinding, not fierce, only gentle, only kind. In stories of saints and mothers, of queens and goddesses, this light appeared again and again. It was said to heal, simply by shining. It was said to protect, simply by glowing. No sword, no shield, only light, and yet it was stronger than any wall, stronger than any weapon, for it touched the soul directly, softening fear, easing pain, opening the heart. Now imagine the light wrapping around you, a cloak made of glow. It falls softly upon your shoulders, rests gently across your chest. It is warm but not hot. It is cool but not cold. It is perfect balance, like the air of dawn, like the touch of moonlight on your skin. This cloak of light is hers. It protects. It comforts. It whispers, rest, be at peace. You are safe. The eternal feminine light does not rise or fall with time. It stretches across ages, carrying itself through every faith, every land, every heart. One can trace it back through temples of stone, through fires and caves, through stars above deserts. It flows like a river, never breaking, always moving, always present. And even now, in this quiet moment as you lie in stillness, she is near. Her light flickers gently in the room. Her light rests softly upon your breath. Her light steadies your dreams, guiding them deeper into calm. In the end, her gift is simple. She is the light that stays. She is the flame that endures. She is the glow that brings peace. In every culture, every story, every heart, she is there. The unbroken thread eternal, the eternal feminine light. So let the stars above remain. Let their glow soften your thoughts. Let their memory settle into your dreams. For tonight the thread of light is near. It wraps you in safety. It carries you in peace. It leads you into rest. Now drift onward as the flame steadies and the stars shimmer. Now drift onward as her light holds you gently, endlessly, eternally. Now rest as the eternal feminine light glows within and around you, carrying peace into your sleep.